If we disappoint the consumer in that brand promise that they perceive, bad things can happen.
So back again with Steve, and we're talking about sticky sales stories, which is really what drove this entire channel, was the idea that really good marketing, really good messaging, awesome stories are what create sticky advertising, which make people really want to remember the brand. Great marketers have been doing it for a long time. And Steve decided that he was going to talk about what happens when you screw up your brand promises, and whether or not you knew you were doing it or not. And because it's so gosh darn topical right now, we're going to talk about Tesla and
baby.
the infamous Elon Musk. Steve, this is on you, man. Let's see what happens here.
Doge and all this other, we're really wading into it here. But there's an important point here, and a brand exists in the consumer's mind.
Yes,
and it can be as much the story the consumer makes up as it is the story that we can influence. But the point is, if we disappoint the consumer in that brand promise that they perceive, bad things can happen. And we're really seeing it with Tesla. So let's step back and take a look at Tesla pre-January, like a few months ago, because this is last day of March is when we're recording this. And I think that's important to mark in time. Tesla was, let's face it, it was the blue states that were buying Teslas, not the red states. I don't care who's right or wrong in this argument.
Oh, 100%.
Republicans would argue that electric vehicles were a dumb idea. The Republicans would argue that things like electric vehicles should not be subsidized. And Republicans would argue that you shouldn't bail out companies in this space. Meanwhile, Democrats, primarily blue states, would argue the environment is important, electric cars have an environmental benefit, and that the government should be having green programs and bail out companies and things along that lines.
Absolutely.
And Tesla, whether you agree with it or not, benefited from a lot of that thinking.
Absolutely.
It basically sold well in those places. So what was the brand promise? Basically, people who liked the environment and liked all these things ended up falling in love with Tesla, because Tesla was a cool car that delivered on all of those things well.
Right. And I mean, I would also say that, the people that were buying, what people thought about Tesla was that he was going to make the world a better place. That's why people started going
Bingo.
right after Elon Musk, right? And following him and watching what he was doing. I mean, it actually would even get away from Tesla and go to his other brands as well. So I think it's important that people understand it that way. Yes, the environment was important, but they also believe that Elon was really trying to strive towards making the world a better place.
Buying a Tesla was part of a movement.
Yes.
And that's how people felt. And that's why they loved it. And then Doge happened. And a bunch of statements, very strong right-wing statements, Elon was making.
That's right.
And suddenly, how did those people feel about Teslas? They felt betrayed.
Yes, they did.
This is the reason why the anger is there. They're like, wait a minute. This is not... Remember, we buy products as a reflection of ourselves.
That's it. Listen, a really good example is what we just talked about Nike a couple of episodes ago, right? Nike's brand was always about you doing the thing you want to do through any odds because you wanted to do it. That was Nike. They represented the weekend warrior, that person who was running regardless, the person who was doing the thing regardless of what everybody else thought because it was good for them. And then all of a sudden they started doing some campaigns where it was about being a champion. That's not what people followed Nike for. They fell off and then they got back to it, which is great. So they realized that they were making a mistake and they changed their messaging back. It's no different here.
Right. So what ended up happening is we take a look at it. Places like Germany, Tesla sales have cratered. Now, here's the other part of it right now. There's also alternatives. It's not like 5 or 6 years ago where the only decent electric car was a Tesla. You can now get a Polestar. You can now get Rivian, yeah. There's
Rivian,
all
yeah.
Rivian. There's all sorts of alternatives now, and
Yeah.
what we're seeing is electric car sales are continuing to rise, and in a bunch of markets, Tesla sales are cratering or only holding their own. And here's the thing: will the red states that love Elon and love Doge and love these things going on, are they going to be able, in their heart, suddenly pivot and say, no, electric cars are actually really smart and make sense?
No. Oh my God.
That's the challenge Tesla faces. It. I think, personally, Tesla's in deep, deep, deep trouble. There was this promise of this bigger future, this better future, this brighter place that Tesla represented, and Tesla's not feeling that way right now.
Right. So I think the question is Tesla gone so far? Has Elon Musk gone so far to kill Tesla because he's abandoned everything he ever said about it, or what we feel about Tesla? Is it gone too far?
Look, only been 100 days. So has it gone that far yet? No, I think there is an opportunity where Elon could walk this back, apologize to the world, make amends, and say, oops, I made a mistake, and everything would be fine. Do I see Elon doing that? No. I actually see him doubling down. And so the real question becomes, if we are in this same place a year from now, then I think it's a really hard call.
Okay, so we're marketers. We're awesome at what we do. What do we do? What like if we were hired now by Tesla, what would we recommend? What do we think should happen here?
Put a new CEO in place and get 1,000 miles away from Elon.
Right.
If they were unwilling to do that, I would not take them on as a customer.
Exactly.
That would be my call. And look, I could be completely wrong. I'm willing to because I believe the pivot I said earlier, can we get now red states and Republicans to embrace electric cars? I think that's a hard battle. That's what we would need to do. We would
I
need
think it's
to
a
distance.
fair call. I think it's a fair call. Like it's funny to quote his new best friend, "You're fired." I think that's the way it should be.
Well, and I think because when we step back and we say, what was the brand expectation? And one could sit there and say, Elon never made that promise to people. Elon is Elon, and Elon was always this way. That could be completely true. The problem is brands exist in the mind of the consumer, and the consumer that was buying that vehicle, this is the dream they were buying into, and that dream has now been shattered. Rightfully or wrongfully, that's where we're at.
Well, and here's how there's a proof out there that what you're saying all makes sense. That the people are no longer believing in what Tesla is standing for. Used EV market has gone up by 28%. People are looking for used EVs. 28%. Tesla's down 16% as a search.
So there you go. So lost massive market share. That's
a
big loss of
massive difference. And that's the used market. Forget about new market. That's just used vehicles. People dumping Teslas is up 33%. So the listings have gone up 33% for used Teslas, but the people searching for them has gone down by 16%.
Right.
That's huge. Like people are not going to be able to sell their vehicle. They're going to get stuck. That's gross. I mean, that's a huge problem. Like it to be done in 100 days. I mean, you said it's only been 100 days, and that's a ton of damage in 100 days.
Right. Now the point is, when I say it's only been 100 days, it's not gone long enough to be really driven deep into people's psyche. But the longer this goes, the bigger this problem ends up becoming.
Right. So because this is sticky sales stories, this is the moral, guys. You have to know your brand. You have to understand it completely, and you have to be able to maintain your connection to the consumer, and not even to the consumer, to the people who are identifying as part of your world. Nike failed. They went off their brand story. They got back to the brand story, and they immediately saw about to get their clients back, like Steven said. And that was a year. They ran a campaign for almost a full year that kind of tanked their numbers, and they saw a nice big, spike back. Okay, Nike's back. We love these people, the comments, everything. With Elon, like you said, he's gonna have a hard time saying he did anything wrong, and backpedaling. And if they don't get rid of them and then get themselves back into a spot where people can understand and trust them again, it's going to be hard. It's a hard roadmap.
Yeah, and there's one other thing I want people to take out of this, because we see this sometimes when potential customers try to hire us. And they say, here's my brand. This is my brand. This is my brand. I stand for these things.
Right.
And then you look, but then you look at it and go, but a whole pile of things you do speak against that. So it's not your brand. Like we'll get people go, we're just like Apple. We want to build a brand like Apple. And then every communication is discount this, low price this. And you're like, you aren't. You're a discounter. Oh no, we're not a discounter. Yes, you are, because every communication that you do is about discount. That's who you are. Unless you're willing to change this, you can't get to there. And when you do that change, it's painful. Those changes are hard, worthwhile. But the point is, the brand, you got to be realistic. How are you being seen by your customer? That's your brand. Not what you want it to be, not what you hope it to be, what it actually is.
Exactly. And having that handle on what people are thinking of you allows you to then talk to them, really engage with them and have them recognize you as somebody who understands them.
Correct.
This is pretty powerful. Listen, we're not Tesla for or Tesla against. We're not Elon for or Elon against. What we recognized and what Steve recognized was that there's a story that was told for a long time. People connected to that story. The story is completely changed, and it is going to affect how business is done at Tesla. They have no choice in this matter.
This is just the reality of the situation they find themselves in today.
Exactly. All right. Well, listen, this was not our regular show. Really appreciate it at all. We didn't even listen. I know we put up some clips of Tesla and Elon and that sort of thing, but like really, truly, guys, we appreciate you guys coming back every week. We've got a couple more interesting ones coming up over the next little bit, but we really just love the fact that you guys are loving our stories and continue to come back. We're going to share some more. We're not always going to show you good ones. We actually have one coming up where we think a brand failed, and we're going to show you why.